Most people assume the Arab world has one opinion about the Ottoman Empire. They don't. What they believe today is the result of memory, politics, education, and something far more powerful: narrative control. Because the Ottoman Empire did not rule the Arab world as a single, uniform experience. It ruled different regions differently, at different times, for different purposes. And the way Arabs remember Ottoman rule depends on one core question: were they partners or were they resources? To understand Arab perspectives, you first have to separate myth from mechanism, and emotion from structure. For over 400 years, large parts of the Arab world were under Ottoman control: the Levant, the Hejaz, Iraq, parts of North Africa. But this was not colonization in the European sense. There were no mass settler populations, no cultural replacement campaigns, no forced language erasure. Arabic remained Arabic. Islam remained central. Local elites remained in power. On the surface, Ottoman rule looked tolerant, and in many ways, it was. But tolerance does not mean equality, and stability does not mean autonomy. From the Ottoman perspective, Arab land served three primary purposes: legitimacy, revenue, geography. The Ottomans claimed the title of Caliph. That mattered. Control over Mecca and Medina gave the empire religious authority across the Muslim world. This was priceless. Arab lands were not just territory, they were symbolic capital. Economically, the Arab provinces were integrated into the Ottoman system as contributors, not decision-makers. Taxes flowed upward. Administrative power flowed outward. Local governance existed, but strategic decisions were made in Istanbul. Arab regions funded the empire. They did not shape it. This distinction is subtle, but it defines how people remember rule. In many Arab cities, Ottoman administration was light. Local notables collected taxes. Local courts handled disputes. Tribes maintained internal order. As long as revenue arrived and loyalty was intact, Istanbul stayed distant. This is why early Ottoman rule is often remembered as calm, especially when compared to later European colonialism. But distance also meant neglect. Infrastructure investment was limited. Industrial development was minimal. Education reforms lagged behind Europe. Arab regions were stable, but they were not modernized, and over time, that difference became visible. The real shift in Arab attitudes came late, very late, in the 19th century, when the Ottoman Empire began to weaken, and weakened empires always squeezed their peripheries. As European powers advanced, the Ottomans' centralized control, taxes increased, conscription expanded, autonomy shrank. Arab regions that once operated quietly were now tightly managed. This created friction, not because Arabs suddenly rejected Ottoman rule, but because the terms changed, and no empire survives when it changes the rules without consent. Arab resistance did not begin as nationalism. That came later. It began as local opposition, against heavy taxation, against forced military service, against economic extraction without representation. Arab elites felt sidelined. Merchants felt drained. Peasants felt pressured. The empire needed money, and Arab lands were expected to provide it. One of the most damaging factors was neglect of development. While Europe industrialized railways, factories, ports, Arab provinces remained largely agrarian. The Ottomans extracted revenue, but reinvested little, not out of cruelty, out of survival. The empire was constantly fighting wars elsewhere. Arab regions became financial buffers, not growth centers. This is remembered. The Arab revolt during World War I is often portrayed as betrayal, but that framing ignores context. By 1914, Arab intellectuals were already questioning Ottoman authority. Arab language movements were growing. Calls for decentralization increased. Political exclusion was real. The revolt did not emerge overnight. It was the result of long-term imbalance. The Ottomans needed Arab loyalty, but offered diminishing returns. British involvement exploited this tension. Promises were made, independence was implied, support was weaponized, and many Arabs believed cooperation would bring sovereignty. It did not. But that failure does not erase the reasons resistance existed. It only complicates memory. This is why Arab views of Ottoman rule are divided. Some remember stability, religious unity, protection from Europe. Others remember neglect, extraction, suppressed autonomy. Both are true, because the Ottoman Empire was not experienced the same way everywhere. In the Hejaz, Ottoman rule is often remembered as distant but respectful. In the Levant, as increasingly restrictive. In Iraq, as administratively heavy. In North Africa, as weak and inconsistent, memory follows experience, not ideology. Modern Arab nationalism reshaped the narrative. The Ottoman period was reframed as foreign domination, Turkish rule, not Islamic unity. This shift was political. It helped new states define identity and distance themselves from the past, but it also simplified reality. Today, opinions are still split. Some Arabs see the Ottomans as a shield against Western colonization. Others see them as the first layer of external control. What unites both views is one realization: Arab regions were never fully sovereign under Ottoman rule. They were managed, and management, no matter how gentle, leaves a mark. The Ottoman Empire did not treat Arabs as enemies, but it did not treat them as equals either. They were essential, but not empowered, stable, but not advanced, integrated, but not autonomous. And that combination explains everything. This is the forgotten truth. Empires don't need to oppress openly to create resentment. They only need to extract without inclusion. Over time, memory fills the gap. The Arab view of Ottoman rule is not hatred, it is ambivalence, a mix of respect and regret, order and stagnation, unity and limitation. And that complexity is exactly what most histories avoid, because it doesn't fit clean narratives. The Ottoman Empire ruled the Arab world for centuries, but it never fully belonged to it. And that is why, even today, the question remains unresolved. Not because Arabs can't decide, but because the empire itself never did. If this video woke you up, drop a like and subscribe. New forbidden truth every single day. Turn on notifications, the next one might save your wealth. Comment the one thing you're doing right now to prepare. I read every single one.